Welcome, sports fans, to another episode of the Detroit Pistons Tonight. In this episode, I will recap the Pistons' last week of action for you, and I will preview their next 4 games. It all started last Wednesday when the Pistons traveled to Dallas to play Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic just missed a triple-double by 1 assist as he had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists in the 127-117 Piston loss. Jeremy Grant had 26 to lead the way for the Pistons. From there, the Pistons traveled to San Antonio to take on the Spurs, and after a close first quarter, early in the second quarter, the Pistons went up by 5 on a Frank Jackson layup. The Spurs then scored the next 6 to take a 1-point lead. From there, the Pistons regained the lead before the Spurs scored the next 10 to take a 9-point lead. Frank Jackson snapped the more than 3-minute drought with a layup to cut the Spurs' lead to 7. And it would stay that way until Rudy Gay pushed the lead to 10 just before halftime with a layup. The lead went to 13 in the third on a Spurs layup with 9:42 to go, and later on the Spurs led by 15 on another layup with 8:31 to go. It grew to 18 on a Lonnie Walker 3 later in the third. Pistons cut the lead to 1 with 7:19 to go in the game. However, the Spurs went on a run, culminating with a Lonnie Johnson 3 that sealed the Pistons' fate, as the Pistons ended up losing to the Spurs 106-91. For the Spurs, Derek White had 26 to lead the way, and Josh Jackson scored 29 for the Pistons in the loss. Make that 20 points in loss, Pistons then traveled to Indiana to take on the Pacers. In the first quarter, was relatively close until the Pacers closed strong to lead by 10 after 1. Early in the second, the Pistons trailed by 15 after a Pacers layup. A 15-2 run by the Pistons pulled them to within 2. The Pistons closed the half strong as they led 61-58 at halftime. They would go up by 8 with 6:40 to go in the third before an 11-0 run helped the Pacers regain the lead. Pacers wound up leading 84-82 after 3 quarters. The fourth quarter was close until Edmund Sumner Edmund Sumner 3 gave the Pacers a 107-101 lead with 3:09 to go. The Pistons got no closer than 4 the rest of the way as they wound up losing 115-109. Malcolm Brogdon had 26 to lead the Pacers, and Karis LeVert had 25 as well for them. For the Pistons, Jeremy Grant had 25 points for the Pistons in the loss. On Monday, the Pistons hosted the Hawks, and they were up by 7. The Pistons were up by 7, that is, in the first quarter. The Hawks cut the lead to 1 before the Pistons took the lead back to 7 on Isaiah Stewart tap-in. The Hawks cut the lead to 27-23 after 1, however. In the second, the Hawks cut the lead to 3 with about 9 minutes to go. Pistons upped the lead to 11 with 3:36 to go on a Mason Plumlee dunk. Corey Joseph's 3 put the Pistons up by 14 with 3:02 to go in the first half. And at halftime, the Pistons were ahead 55-44 over the Hawks. The lead was down to 6 with 6:29 to go in the third after a Kevin Huerter steal and dunk. However, Jeremy Grant basket pushed the lead back to 13 with under 5 minutes to go in the quarter. It was at 15 before the Hawks cut the lead to 74-67 after 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, Frank Jackson 3 extended the lead to 87-73 with 7:42 to go. And a dunk by Frank Jackson off a lob with 5:01 to go essentially ended the game as the Pistons wound up winning 101-86, or 100-86. Jeremy Grant and Frank Jackson had 18 in the victory for the Pistons, and Bogdan Bogdanovic had 17 for the Hawks, who were without Trae Young. In the next segment, I will talk about the Pistons' next 4 games. Stay tuned to the Detroit Pistons tonight on Ed's Sports Channel.